Hi everyone, I'm Michelle Monique Macheira Groenewald. I come from the Faculty of Economic and Management Sciences, specifically from the School of Economics, and I'm the winner for the Award of Innovation in Teaching and Learning for 2022. It's definitely contributed a lot in terms of really giving one the space and the opportunity to be really explicit in thinking through why you are doing what you are doing in your teaching practice. So sometimes you can start off with a good idea, and maybe you're just looking to do something new. Maybe you're trying to solve a problem that you've identified in your module. But I think what this award really allows you to do is to think through in the very busy lives that academics often lead, in trying to balance teaching and research and community engagement, is to actually make the time to look for the literature on what are best practices in the type of innovation that you're trying to create. And then to really see it as an iterative process of figuring out what is working, what could you change, and then really importantly, what student feedback can you get based on what you're trying to innovate within your classroom. So it really gives you that dedicated time and space to be explicit about what you're trying to do, instead of kind of just jumping from one thing to the next. Yeah, mentorship is definitely so important. I am really lucky and very grateful to have had mentorship from a range of different people. So people that are just generally enthusiastic about their teaching, also previous award winners, but also people from CTL that I could really talk to and could guide me through some of the ideas that I had for my innovation. And so being able to collaborate that way through really meaningful mentorship means that you have a much greater likelihood of succeeding in whatever your innovation might be that you're advocating for. And so I would, really hope that I can just be someone who makes myself available to whomever would want to hear about my experience, but also more than anything, soundboard. Sometimes it can be quite isolating to be that person who's like really enthusiastic about your teaching, and not everyone may share that enthusiasm, and that's perfectly fine, right? Academics have different ways in which they want to shape their careers, but to know that there is a community of people that are as enthusiastic as what you are, and to have them as a soundboard, I would really hope to be able to just make myself open and available to anyone that wants to talk more about teaching and learning. Sure. So I put together a whole portfolio, so I'll try to be succinct about it. But I think the major contribution that I was trying to bring is something that I developed called SCAP. So it stands for Students Centered as Partners. And really, this is an attempt to be able to have students at the center of the way in which we are teaching and learning. And so very often, there's an imbalance of power relations in the classroom, where lecturers are seen as the ones that are completely omnipotent and they have all the knowledge. But actually, students have so much to give and so much to teach me and each other. And so by doing a host of different things, but as a small example, letting students choose a topic that they get to actually add to their curriculums officially. Letting students choose at least one assessment method that they're going to be assessed on throughout the semester. It's definitely not comprehensive enough, but it begins to break down some of these power imbalances, and to give students the opportunity to have a voice, and to acknowledge that the knowledges they bring to the classroom are as valuable, and in some instances, if not more valuable, than knowledges that sometimes come from lecturers, textbooks, journal articles. In terms of opportunities, I think it's quite fulfilling to be able to get feedback from your students, but also from peers, also from people outside of the university, that as you're building the portfolio and working through the innovations, for you to learn about your own practices, for you to be able to critique yourself, to go through that process of recognizing where the failures and faults are, and then to also think through, which is something I've attempted to do a lot more about, how does your teaching and learning actually link with your research practices? And so I think that this award is a real opportunity for one to be able to do that. And then just in closing on that point, very often a title can mean a lot, right? It's not to advocate that you're the best and most perfect in this area. I think anyone who entered these awards is probably keenly aware that they want to strive to continue to better their practices. But actually having the NWU recognize people that are in the teaching and learning space, that are going above and beyond what's expected, can be really useful in building networks within the university and outside of the university to find other people that are as enthusiastic and passionate and committed to teaching and learning. And so that title really opens up doorways and opportunities. Yeah. So, I mean, I think that is quite dependent on the specific discipline that you're in, or perhaps the specific award that you might be entering. But I suppose that's where mentorship comes in. So if you're keen to talk more about it, please contact me. I would love to sit on board with you. But I think within the broader NWU space, I think my top tip, or something that I really advocate for, is to recognize the importance of this title in order to be able to think through, again, how is this going to improve your teaching and your research and your community engagement, to not see it in isolation, but to recognize that the teaching and learning is the springboard that you're using in order to think through in a more explicit way about your research and about your community engagement. And in general, I would just say that probably people who are enthusiastic and passionate about teaching and learning are not doing this because we're hoping necessarily for validation or for prize money or for prestige. But we're doing this because we genuinely can't help devoting our careers to something that makes us feel truly alive. And I think more than anything, the opportunity to be able to learn from your students is the most rewarding thing that you can hope for. And entering into these awards gives you, in the mad, crazy, busy life of an academic, at least some space and some time that you can carve out for something that can just be really rewarding beyond the title, for your own growth. And, you know, if you see being an academic as something more than just what I do from 9 to 5, but you see it as a part of who you are, then I think these awards are really an opportunity for you to think through that, to experience that in a more meaningful way. Yeah.